What does our catechism say? It pleases God to govern me by His hand, the hand of the employer now. And indeed it pleases God to govern me by all whom He has put in authority over me. It pleases God to govern me in the workplace through my employer. It doesn't please God to govern me through my employer in the home. That's not His sphere. In the church, He doesn't have any say over me there. Or in the state, but He, my employer, governs me in the workplace. And how is it that God gives my employer authority over me? Well, assuming that none of you here this morning are slaves, the answer is by the process of hiring. You agree to work for your employer. You sign a contract, you shake hands, you do whatever it is. And in so doing, God constitutes that person as your employer with authority over you with respect to your work, and you are thereby agreeing to it. That's the means God uses to put the employer over us. Just as there are means He uses to give authority to parents over us and husbands. Now, I've mentioned authority in the home and in the workplace. There's also, of course, authority in the church. Those in authority in the church are the office bearers. And Scriptures mention 3 permanent New Testament offices. I'm not talking about Old Testament offices now, or temporary, extraordinary offices like apostle or evangelist, but the 3 permanent ones. Pastor, teacher, ruling elders, and deacons. And God appoints church officers through the congregation by election or voting or approbation, followed by ordination or installation, as set forth in our church order and the relevant articles in the Belgian Confession, as well as the forms. Authority in the home, in the workplace, in the church, and in the state. We have a constitutional monarch, the Queen, who comes to be in that position through a hereditary monarchy. MPs rule over us through national elections. God appoints over us a Prime Minister through the national elections, which give one party either a majority or simply the largest party, which can form a coalition. MLAs, elected through provincial voting. The European Parliament is over us too. Elections throughout the European Union. And of course, there are various functionaries appointed by the various arms of the state, such as policemen. And one could also add others who have authority over us in certain spheres, such as our school teachers and the leaders of any voluntary societies that we may join. Usually their authority over us, perhaps especially the last ones, are less weighty and more restricted. Now the question is, what does God require of us with respect to all those in authority over us? The first part of Lord's Day 39 says that I show all honour, love and fidelity to my father and mother. That's the most basic authority figures in the human race, and all in authority over me, which arise out of that. The first verb used there is honour. I must honour them. It's used first here because this is the word which is first used at the very start of the 5th commandment. Honor thy father and thy mother. Honor means respect and reverence those over you. Respect and reverence those over you by caring for their reputations and good names, and by esteeming them weighty and heavy. That's the idea, weighty and heavy, of the Hebrew word used in the 5th commandment. These are heavy people, weighty people. Nothing to do with them taking too many calories or anything like that, but the fact that God put some of His authority upon their shoulders. That's the idea. And so, those in authority over us are not just a big joke. To be criticised and pilloried and mocked, as much of the press and TV and comedians do, we find it hard sometimes too, because we're depraved and it's all around us, not to join in. Husbands, parents are butts of jokes and ridicule. Employers, church leaders, civil leaders. So that in our Western society, it's as if someone is in a high office, therefore they are legitimate attacks, legitimate targets for our attack and ridicule. And this word honour is, you will understand too, a matter of attitude. You don't speak honour, you don't do honour, it's something in the heart, it's an attitude, an approach, a disposition towards those whom God has set over you. A thankful heart, which is one which is grateful to God for His redemption of us in the blood of the cross, a thankful heart is a reverent heart, one which honours those in authority. The argument is that since we honour God, that's the first 4 commandments, since we honour God, we honour those whom God has set over us and designated with authority to govern us. That's the 5th commandment. I must honour, says the believer. I must honour all in authority over me. My husband, my parents, my employer, my church office bearers, civil leaders, teachers. I must honour them, and when I don't, it is sinful, and I must confess that and experience forgiveness through faith in Christ. And I must honour those in authority over me, since, this is the last clause of Lord's Day 39, since it pleases God to govern me by their hand. And this is the teaching of Romans 13. Romans 13, 1 through 7 deals, first of all and specifically, with civil authority. But in that it deals with authority, and principally all authority is God's authority, the teachings here apply to other spheres of authority. Romans 13 verse 1, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. All the authorities put over you, may your soul be subject to them. Why? Because there is no power or authority but of God. There's no authority outside of God. The powers that be are ordained or appointed by God. That's the Christian and Reformed teaching. He has all authority. Any authority comes from Him. Therefore, we submit to those whom He has set over us. And this teaches us that the 5th commandment, and honouring those in authority, ultimately, is a matter of faith. Everything's a matter of faith. Just to let you in on the secret, so to speak. Everything. Faith.